Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for March 29th, 2017. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. We had a big rejection day a couple of days ago here below 2330. What I mentioned in the previous session was any pullback into 2330 or into 2331.75 could be a zone there to watch to defend for a squeeze back to 53 or 54s and then perhaps back up into 71s. That's the idea here, and that's kind of what we've taken with us, is that once we sold off from this key level here, 2371, the FOMC level from March 15th, we found rejection. The market tends to come back to that level and sometimes go through it. And so once we got this major rejection here, the idea was where bulls going to come in and defend 2330. That was our idea yesterday. Defend any attempt into that zone for a shot at 2371. Price got into 2360 half, so a very solid rally in the previous session, which is very bullish. And right now we're kind of holding with a small range inside day at the moment. So any pullback back toward the previous week's close here could still be a buying opportunity for a continuation toward 2371. So right now the flow is still to the upside short term, but the major pivot to watch overall is that 2354. That's the key range low. Bears made it resistance after they took it offered, and right now price is right at it. So for price to hold around this area could be building energy, getting some bears short, and then looking to run the stops here soon. So keep an eye on 2354 as the major pivot. Looking at the intraday time frame, here it is. On an intraday basis right now, you can see a nice continuation to the upside in the previous session. This was the rejection day down here where we had the range that formed, and then we saw the rally. And then we had another range that formed here, and then we saw another rally that started yesterday late in the morning. And now we've seen a continuation in the 60 half, and price is now holding above that 42.75, the previous week's close. So again, any pullback into that zone could still be a buying opportunity for a continuation towards 71s. At the moment, you have a sloping VWAP to the upside here, so a pullback toward VWAP 48 could also be an opportunity for bulls to defend early on. So we'll see where the ES finds some lows this morning, but the idea is to find that early weakness, look to defend it, and perhaps by the end of the session we could be looking at 67 to 71. Let's take a look at CL. Here's a look at CL. Looking at the daily time frame of crude, you'll notice that we've seen a little bit of a bounce here off the recent lows. Again, 47.09, very important level. We got to 47.01, then 47.08. So that zone between 47 and 47.10 is very, very solid. Lots of bulls have come in and defended that zone over the last 3 weeks. And so far we've seen varying degrees of bounces with not a whole lot of conviction to the upside just yet. I mentioned before that breaking back below 52s was very significant. And any bounce into that zone is still primarily a selling opportunity for a shot at lower lows. I don't know if we get that far higher or into that zone on a bounce, but I do know that any bounce here still is being seen as a selling opportunity for a shot at running stops below 47s, and that gets you to our next target zone below, which is going to be 45.20 and then 43.12. Those are the next two major pivots below to watch for. And so the idea here, can price stay above 48.50, 48.40? Because that's the pivot. That was the major zone that if price could push above it, we could see a squeeze. We held right at it, and we're trading right on top of it. So right now, bears controlling 48.80 for a shot at running the stops downward into 45.20 and below. Bulls really want to get above 48.80 to get this thing squeezing toward the previous week's high. So right now, we're kind of in the middle of this chop range, so it's a very difficult trade at the moment. But if you have a downward bias, this is a zone to begin to look for signs of rejection or failed acceptance beyond 48.40, because any failure up here could be a quick sell opportunity downward. So looking at the intraday time frame, here it is. Again, we had a significant rally that we saw a couple of sessions back, started by this box reversal, big push up, another hold, another rally, hold, rally, etc. We've gotten into 48.80, which is a key level, and now we've rejected. So that's an important spot there. After this big rally, we may have seen the definition of a range now where we could begin to see some back and forth action around this zone. So again, we're going to continue to watch 48.80. Any failure to hold 48.40 overall would suggest a return back to 5-day value with a shot at seeing lower price levels. All right, let's take a look now at the NQ. Here's the NQ. Higher time frame NQ right now, again, shows a squeeze and a continuation after the previous session's rally. So down here we had a big rejection day, big tail, big close back up, and then our idea yesterday pre-market was any pullback into 53.61.75, that key level, any pullback into that zone will be an opportunity to buy and squeeze through the 95 to 5400 zone and look to attempt to push to new highs. So our idea yesterday was to look to defend 61s for a swing opportunity. Price got into 63s within 2 points of that zone and squeezed big, getting into a high of 54.24.75. So a very nice push yesterday. The idea today is any pullback, likely into 95s, could still be a great buying opportunity for a continuation higher and a test at the outer edge of the previous week's range, which would be 54.41s. 54.40 has been rejected twice. Down here, you've seen many rejections off 53.20. Any push into 54.40 could still be an opportunity for bears to look to defend and return back down. So right now, this is the trading range, and we're working higher off that range. Look for bulls to defend 53.95 for a shot at 54.40. Once we get up here, look for signs of rejection that will return price back down. All right, let's take a look here at the intraday time frame. On an intraday basis, again, what we were looking for in the previous session was for price to continue higher and look to defend any pullback to 53.60. So here's 53.61, and there's the absorption that occurred off that area. Eventually, boom, this thing rallied big. And now we're through the 53.95.75s. That's where closing value was the previous session. So any push into this zone could be a great opportunity to look to defend, perhaps on many rotations, for a shot at squeezing higher into the next upside key levels, 54.40, perhaps a little higher. But once we get beyond 54.41, time to look for signs of rejection. All right, lastly, let's take a look at gold futures. Gold futures is currently holding within a inside day pattern type of development over the last couple of days. Here's Monday's range, Tuesday's range is inside, and today's range is currently inside that range as we head into RTH. So tightly coiled development at the highs of a recent move. That would suggest more strength. I mentioned before we might have one more leg up as price perhaps wants to complete this move into 63 and 64.90, which is recent highs. So we might have one last push higher, and then we'll look to see if there's going to be signs of rejection here, because that would be a quick reversal opportunity back to value CVPOC 1232.10. So any push higher right here could offer an opportunity to watch for a fade. But one more move potentially higher. Any failure to hold 1250 suggests a rotation back to 1240, and again, that's a key pivot to watch. So we're getting a little bit long in the tooth on this current rally, but we do have perhaps one more move ahead. So if we look at that intraday chart with that mindset here, again, we're forming a little bit of a range here. Rotations up here being offered, rotations down here being defended. 1240 is the key pivot. Staying above that zone would suggest continued strength. And right now, again, the top side target to be looking for is 63 to 64.90. Once price gets outside of this range, it's time to watch for signs of rejection, and the early rotation could take us back toward 1251.70. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.